Dr. J.C. Campbell, thank you for sticking around and joining us for a second episode as we continue to build on your knowledge, wisdom, and experiences around leadership.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and to be asked to stay for a second time that's pretty good. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is all about leadership synergized, in particular when we look at that still aspect, not still in the sense of doing nothing, but still around staying composed even in the face of adversity and utilizing those skills and wisdom and experiences that we gain through others in our life and other experiences in our life. And Dr. Campbell, where we left off, we were talking about balancing and integrity and how to sustain that in our lives and bringing intentionality and a consistency to that point, to our principles and our values. I'd like to start this episode with a follow-up topic. And, I used to look at self-awareness, right? Certainly before we can grow, we have to first be comfortable with who we are. We have to accept our flaws, our failures. And I'm the first to admit at times 30, 20, 10 years ago, ego was in my way. Many times failure, almost every time, was because of ego or pride in that regard, probably in my experience. So I used to think self-awareness was a one-time thing. This is who I am, take it or leave it type aspect, right? But I've come to find, again, as that fog of my past experiences has lifted, self-awareness is really an everyday, every moment aspect for us. And it's truly around what reflection is supposed to give us. So when we're not intentional about taking that moment to reflect, so to speak, or taking that time each day, week, or month to reflect and ask what worked and what could I do better, we're really losing contact with ourselves in that piece. Talk a bit about some of the challenges you've experienced or seen others experience from a leadership perspective when it comes to true self-awareness.
Well, I mean, just even how we talk to each other, right? I mean, it boggles my mind at times that people don't take the time or the patience to really stop and say, is the message I'm delivering a message of hope, love? Is it a message of professionalism? Let's just start there, right? So even how we talk to people, I've constantly tried my best, Kevin, to make sure that in my communication, I'm self-aware. And if I misinterpret something, I try to fix that quickly. But I think in our body language and how we approach, I've seen organizations, for example, where, and you could probably attest to this, Kevin, within the organization, everyone expects the worst from one another.
Mm.
So when an email comes out, it's a gotcha, or when someone says something or gives a critique, it's like, oh, it's personal. That's all self-awareness. It's not personal. I'm not after you. But see, that's what happens in transitional leadership. But nobody's been transformed, right? We've transitioned, but without the transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think with self-awareness, we need to understand that we don't communicate the same. We don't see things the same. We don't solve problems the same. We don't deal with difficulty the same. And being able to process, a great leader is not someone that can take all the credit. A great leader is a person that can work with people that can take the credit. When you can work with a person that's an introvert and an extrovert, when you can work with a person that's optimistic and pessimistic, when you can work with a person that loves change, but a person that doesn't like change, when you can work with men and women, when you can work with the younger generation or the older generation, that's the true mark of a leader. What I love about leaders that can touch several people is that means they really speak many languages. Because sometimes you have to be able to be self-aware enough to say, there was a time where social media did not come out until I was in college. So I did live a part of my life where I didn't know what Facebook was or Instagram was or Twitter was or whatever the case may be. TikTok, that didn't exist. So now we're in a world where that's primary, that's prevalent. There's no company you won't find that's not on social media. In fact, there's a lot of companies that get in trouble because they're on social media, right? How do we engage and interact? with those individuals. So I think being self-aware is not just about what's going on with me, but is what is going on with me affecting what's going on with someone else.
I love that. And you used the term a moment ago, speaking to others and treating each others from love. And the first L for me in still leadership is love. It's
Mhm.
around our discipline focus, if we so choose, for faith, family, relationships,
Yep.
and the value. Because in my reflection, and I'll share this and ask you to share the same.
Sure.
Successful leadership does not exist without a faith, without family, without relationships that
Yep.
go beyond the superficial and are in the heart.
Yeah.
Whether it's frontline supervisor, line worker, whether it's teacher, student, principal teacher, pastor, congregation member,
Right.
love is so important. Yet it's something that our society seems to be very much uncomfortable with. Why can't a Kevin tell Dr. Campbell, I love your brother, I'm proud of you? Where is that comfort level? How can leaders succeed and exhibit that love and have it be something that is used as inspiration, as transformational in this world today?
Well, Kevin, everybody loves, whether you're an atheist or an agnostic, or you're a devout Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, everyone loves. The question is not, does everyone love? The question is, what do you love? And I think that's what leaders need to really take a beat and ask themselves. Do you love the fame? Do you love the salary? Of course, salary is
Mm.
great. And the benefits that come with it are great, but is that what you really love? Is that what truly motivates you? Or do you love to see people smile? Do you love to give a person an employee of the month who you know has been working really hard to accomplish the task? Do you love to see your organization impact the community? Those are the real questions that we have to ask. Love is at the foundation, in my opinion. Without love, according to the 13th chapter of Corinthians, you're a clanging cymbal. There's not much meaning in life. And people would argue, oh, well, they're coming from a Christian philosophy. They're coming from a Christ-centered background. I would argue, what benefit, what joy do you get from life without love, whether you believe or not? What is your life without love? You have to love something. And sometimes what we love makes us poor leaders, or poor husbands, or poor wives, or poor children, poor pastors, because we don't love the right things. And so for me, it is my love of people. It is my love of the organization. It is my love of the value that people bring. If the church burned down tonight, there would still be a church. So what about the organization do you love? Why is your mission so important? Why is your vision so important? Why do universities care what kind of student they bring to the campus? Why? For what? I think we have to ask a true question. It's hard for us to say, I love you. And there are so many things we can get into about the over sexualization of love, about the standards and social stipulations that we put on male love, female love, who can say I love you first, all those silly things. But at its core, love is universal across sex, across religion, across feeling, across political lines, across leadership styles. Love is constant because God is constant. And I think if we would begin to value, and I'll just go one step further. Racism, sexism, ageism will exist because we have totally taken the concept of love out of these arguments. We can have a debate. I can be a Republican, you can be a Democrat. We can debate, excuse me, all day long. What stops the debate and continues the relationship is love. I love you enough that I'm not going to allow philosophy, which will die with me. Let's be honest, destroy that relationship. So I think the value of love is critical. It should be at the foundation of every leadership model.
Thank you for that response. And you really went to the core of why Dr. J.C. Campbell is a successful leader. The love of people, the love of organization, not love of certain missions, not love of certain opinions, but just love of person, love of individual, love of organization in that aspect. And that really leads into the second L, and it is lead. It is leading in that piece. And there we really get challenged as leaders. All leaders get challenged. Doesn't matter if it's of a church, of a school, of a medical facility, of a business, of a governmental unit. There's challenges to every leader today, and they are pulled in many ways, largely due to the multi-views of priorities, not allowing that focus, that stillness, maybe to stay core, to stay at the center of everything the leader and his or her team do on a daily basis. And that really brings me to the concept of leaders leading in and through their strength zone, Dr. Campbell, and not getting stuck in a comfort zone in that piece. What have you found that has helped you succeed as a leader, be it professionally, personally, both, when it comes to living through your strengths and beyond?
Couple of things. Number one, you cannot put the same level of expectation on people that are not you. I have found that leaders tend to expect from others what they do not fully in themselves have the capacity to do.
Well said.
You know, we often tend to get angry when the people that work with us don't do something or don't accomplish something or don't complete a task the way we want them to. But the reality is, a leader has to communicate that. And a leader also has to have the ability to give flexibility for other leaders to grow and develop. I always look at people with the opportunity of that could be a leader one day. So how do I grow and develop? How do I give constructive criticism that doesn't tear down but builds up? I think that's going to be one of the biggest things, is being able to have those conversations, being able to realize that leading is not easy. Leading is rewarding, but it can be damning. It could be damaging if you do not do it in the right way. I think also one of the things, Kevin, that I've learned with leadership is you have to truly be able to lead people when they feel like they don't need a leader. That can be the most difficult thing. I'm pretty sure Moses, who I credit as one of the greatest leaders in history, I think Moses was just ridiculously phenomenal in so many ways. In that Moses realized, like I've said before, hey, I could slip just as easily as Aaron did. I've killed a person. I buried them in the sand. I don't have the right speech. I have a speech impediment. I can't speak. I don't know what to say. Moses was a guy that realized his limitation. And through his limitation, God was able to operate through his strengths. When Moses realized, hey, I don't want to ever misquote God. I don't ever want to give a message that's not right. I want to put parameters in place because I know I can't do this by myself. God says, okay, get your brother. He'll speak for you when you need speaking, when you need help speaking. So I think we need to realize that there may be some people that feel like they can do it better. There may be people that feel like, oh, you're doing a terrible job. Our job is never to convince people that we should be in the seat, excuse me, that we're in. And I had a difficult time with that as a young leader. No, I belong here. I'm supposed to be here. They picked me. They chose me. That's a fallacy. Our job is never to convince people that we're leaders. Do you know how to convince people that you're a leader? You lead. You don't get in the weeds. You don't get into debates. I mean, I remember I would be in board meetings, uh, trying to one up people that had been there for years, trying to prove to people I'm savvy. I've got it all figured out. And then one day I walked into that board room and I thought, you do know more than me. You do. I don't know everything. I don't have everything figured out. Now, how are we going to use what you know and what I know and make this organization the best organization in town? I think leaders need to hear that they are valued, sometimes not thanked, sometimes not shown the appreciation. But guess what? That really doesn't matter because you don't lead for the thanks. I hope not. You don't lead for the appreciation. You lead for the impact. For me, Kevin, the impact is my thank you. The lives that are changed, that's my thank you. The families that are supported, the leaders that come back and say, hey, I was in your class, or I sat down with you for an hour at a conference and you helped me be a better leader. That's the thank you I need. So I think leaders have to kind of breathe, find their center, and lead. Just do it. You're going to have mistakes. Do it anyway. Apologize when you're wrong. Embrace when you're right. Never, never develop this self-analyzed superiority that says, yeah, you're going to do what I say you're going to do because I'm the VP or I'm the president. But no, have people buy in to say, I want you to do this because you trust me. And I want you to do it because I know you're the person that can do it. So that's leading to.
Wow, you just highlighted the whole concept of leadership synergized and walked right in a positive way to my next question, which is what big takeaway would you offer to those tuning in, viewing, and or listening when it comes to their focus on their personal growth, leadership growth? You hit upon some things just a moment ago that really are pretty powerful to me, pretty poignant. Anything you want to build on or add about a takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners and audience?
The one there's many takeaways, but I'm going to leave you with this one just for today. I think is an important takeaway because I've been dealing with it and in several organizations that I work with. Your people are valuable. Don't ever forget that if the people left you, you would have nobody to lead, which means you would have no organization to transform. Be kind as leaders. And I don't mean this to be crass, but don't specialize in being jerks. That is not good. And I know a lot of times we have this celebrity persona where we can't be touched and we can't be talked to. Get out of that. Be a person that can be touched by your team, that can be communicated with, that if you're a president, walk around your campus, get to know people. If you're a CEO, go down to the mailroom and see what they do. I have learned in my life that the greatest leaders are leaders of the people and not of policy.
I love it. Thank you for that. How about Dr. J.C. Campbell when it comes to your personal growth? Where are you in your growth journey?
I'm always learning. I feel like I'm developing a great leadership model. I always, as I've already said, I try to have a Moses model, but I'm developing a great leadership model. I read all kinds of books. I look at CEOs of different companies. I look at the CEO of Lowe's. I look at the CEO of Southwest Airlines, and I actually read and look at what they do and how they interact with their employees and how they impact their communities. I look at other pastors in the community and in our country and across the globe. And read their material and see how they transform their church. And so for me, I'm still in a learning phase, and I'm still learning when to hit the gas and when to put it in park, when to reverse it a little bit, or when to put it in neutral. So I'm still learning um, so many things in order to transform not only the organization that I work with at Oakland City or at my church, which is Greater Hope in Evansville, but I also feel that way about my family. I've got growing children, so I have to learn. Okay, put it in park, drive it, put it in neutral, reverse it. You're always learning those things. So for me, I'm constantly learning. I have not arrived, but one day I hope to at least be able to lead people to the same location.
Thank you for that. Well said. We may have some listeners, some audience members, some viewers who feel like they would like to connect, that you have something, maybe an experience you've had that they can learn from, that maybe they're going through some challenges or adversity. How could someone reach out and make contact with J.C. Campbell?
Oh, absolutely. You can reach out to me via email, jccampbell@oak.edu. You can also reach out to me on Instagram, as well as Facebook, as well as Twitter. On Twitter, I am the real Pastor JC. On Instagram and Facebook, I am Dr. JC Campbell. Please reach out to me. I would love to communicate. I would love to collab, and hopefully will be a blessing to you all, as you and Kevin have been a blessing to me.
Well, Dr. Campbell, thank you so much. Your words of wisdom are just awesome. I love the energy, the youthfulness, the youthful energy, and you are at such a great place in life. And from a faith-based perspective, the path God has you on, I just can't see where there's not a perfect fit in that piece, as I see that now. And you really represent still leadership, and using still to synergize leadership more than perhaps anyone I've had in my life. And you've made a positive impact on me. I am growing so much just from this conversation that we've had in these 2 episodes. And from the bottom of my heart, my brother, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on again and offering your words of wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you, Kevin. Much love indeed. And thank you to the listeners.
And for all of you out there, we hope you've enjoyed and found some nuggets and some words of wisdom you can use in your growth journey. Dr. Campbell and I are here to help you. There'll be more Leadership Synergized coming in the very near future. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel, as well as our other social media sites on LinkedIn, Facebook, and more. For Dr. J.C. Campbell, I'm Kevin Smith. Don't forget, leadership is synergized by being still. Thank you for joining us. God bless.